they got to wake up with their piss hot. So, you just got to be ready to go. And that's reality. That is the way it is.
Woke up with my piss hot. What a way to start. Sweat on my forehead, racing hard. Woke up with my piss hot. Ready to ignite. Let's raise some hell. Let's own the line.
Daniels, just a rookie. 26 out of 30. 87%, 231 yards. He rushes for 47. He's doing everything. Shredded, baby. C.J. Stroud, 345 yards. Brings the Texans back. Wins it at the buzzer. Shred him, Stroud.
Welcome back to Fantasy Football by Committee, powered by Flurry Sports. It can be tough to win a fantasy league on your own, but at FFBC, we will work together to bring home the hardware. Hosted by Zach Bruner and the rest of the Flurry Sports crew, we will give top-level analysis, answer your questions, and, well, go off on other tangents.
That was after I tried to get ChatGPT to admit that 9/11 was an inside job, but it stood firm. It gave quite a few solid points that it was true.
Welcome to Fantasy Football by Committee. The show starts in 3, 2, 1.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Thursday night Flurry Sports Fantasy Football Start-Sit Show. Happy, pumped, excited to be with you as we head into Week 8. Henry John, Zach McAdoo with a very perplexed look as he sits next to me. Buddy, what's going on? You okay? You good?
I wake up with your piss hot. What the hell does that even mean? Like, what the? That explains one of the Packers' posts over the past week, I guess. But like, wake up with your piss hot.
It's a Wizco thing, man. Like, we don't question it. You're not there. I'm currently not there. I don't think people want to know where I am tonight. If you hear semis rushing by me, I'm sorry. But nonetheless, the show is live. It's time to go. Week 8 is here, and it has been an interesting week in the NFL news realm, let alone fantasy. McAdoo, what do you want to jump into first? The floor is yours. What do you want to bring up? And what are you looking at for fantasy football? We got Vikings-Rams tonight. Some rumblings about what might be going on with that game. And we already had a trade go down this week that is definitely fantasy relevant.
So, a lot of people are going to be mad at me, but I'm just going to start. I want to probably the death of my dynasty team for the time being. I lost Chris Godwin and Mike Evans Monday night. So, I mean, not just one Tampa Bay wide receiver go down, a second one going down late in the game when he probably shouldn't have been out there, especially with the new rules. They had no chance to win anyways, but it is what it is. We just got to keep moving on.
Yeah, the Buccaneers situation is definitely interesting here moving forward. Probably no Mike Evans through the Week 11 bye. Chris Godwin, I saw somewhere that Chris Godwin supposedly has like a chance of coming back this year. I'm sorry, his foot was on backwards. He has no chance of coming back. So the Buccaneers situation definitely noteworthy going forward. Jalen McMillan, Sterling Shepard, probably the two to own there. A lot of chaos, a lot of injuries this past week, a lot of stuff going on. DeAndre Hopkins is a Kansas City Chief. Obviously a bump for not only the Chiefs offense, but for Hopkins himself. Where does that leave Calvin Ridley? All kinds of questions moving forward. And that's what we're here for tonight. You guys have start-sit questions for Week 8. You guys have trade questions. Whatever we can do to help here as we go into the second half of the fantasy football regular season. We're down to give it our best shot. So fire away in the chat. Wherever you're watching, thank you for joining us. And make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if it is on the Flurry Sports YouTube channel, because there's all kinds of good stuff going out there. I think we can start it off with this comment. Yeah. Since McAdoo let it in. Thank you, our fearless leader, Zach Bruner. Couldn't be me either, quite honestly. I wake up and piss straight fire.
Who pisses cold, though? Who pisses cold? And what Oh dear Lord, what did we open up to? What is the temperature of a cold piss? Can we have a scientist go over this for us?
Does it come out blue? Does it come out a different color? I don't know. Is it like, do you piss Kool-Aid at that point? Like, is pissing cold? I don't know. If anyone has the answer, feel free to drop that in the chat too, because
I'm gonna blame the Flurry Sports Bruner guy here because it's his coach.
you can blame him. I ain't gonna blame him for nothing. Let's jump into a question. Enough about cold piss. Unless somebody else wants to bring it back up later on. Null Dog, we see you. Hello, thank you for joining us. A trade question here to kick us off, McAdoo. Should we be trading Terry McLaurin and Zay Flowers for Devontae Smith and Darnell Mooney? So Terry McLaurin in a Commanders offense that has looked the part. Cliff Kingsbury doing a hell of a job scheming stuff up for Washington this season. Zay Flowers and the Ravens offense looking the part as well. That's an interesting debate right now. Is Derrick Henry or Lamar Jackson the front runner for MVP? Who is more valuable to that offense? Good question. Devontae Smith and the Eagles, I feel like they're going to be turning the corner here, getting some things right. Certainly looked the part last week against the Giants. And then Darnell Mooney with the Atlanta Falcons, who laid an egg last week. But we've seen that offense do some good things here in recent weeks. Do you have a side of this trade that you prefer?
In a vacuum, I'm keeping McLaurin and Flowers, but the variable here is how long is Jaden Daniels going to be out for? They're considering week to week. He doesn't practice this week. Probably needs to log some practice time tomorrow to even have a shot Sunday. So it depends on what you think with Daniels. Personally, I think he maybe misses this week, probably back next week. But if he's
so here's my question to you. Knowing that I think a lot of the offensive success down there in Washington, yes, Jaden Daniels has been really good, but I think Cliff Kingsbury deserves a ton of credit. Is it a huge drop-off from Daniels to Marcus Mariota, in your opinion? Because to me, it's not. I think Mariota can step in and he can do just fine.
You got a point there. I mean, he didn't play bad, but I think the other part of that was they were playing the Panthers too. Mm-hmm. And despite what Bruner thinks I said, I did not say the whole Panthers team is good. I said the wide receiver core is good. Wide receiver room.
That was my fault too. I'm sorry. I kept throwing that out there for like 3 weeks after you said it. For me, this trade, I'm keeping McLaurin and Flowers here. We've seen the Eagles kind of struggle a little bit. Devontae Smith is great. I think they're going to turn the corner, but to be completely fair, I don't know that I love Jalen Hurts quite like a lot of other people do. I would take the McLaurin Flowers side. I think you're getting. I trust the Commanders and Ravens offenses more than the Eagles and Falcons offenses going forward. And I also trust the roles of those two players in those offenses going forward. As far as wideouts are concerned, McLaurin is number one in Washington. Flowers is number one in Baltimore. You could argue that Devontae Smith and Darnell Mooney, neither of them are number one when those teams have their full complement of weapons. I know A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, both really good. But that would be where I would go. Null Dog adds on here. Let me pull this up and we can read it. He has Derrick Henry. For some reason, doesn't really like starting Flowers and Henry together. Not sure if that's something I have to get over or actually cap some upside. I will be completely honest with you. When I have a starting receiver and a starting running back on the same team, especially if it's a redraft league, Dynasty is a little different, I feel the same way a lot. So I completely understand it. Potentially shop Flowers around, see what else you might be able to get back in return. Depending on if you have specific team needs, can do a 1-for-1 or something with another position. McAdoo, do you have any thoughts on that? That's an interesting point to bring up because I will agree with Null Dog. Like that kind of is a peeve of mine sometimes.
I mean,
and it probably shouldn't be, but
he's got a point to it. But like, I think if they're probably the best guys that are available that I have, it's just something you got to do. I think I'm more afraid of the quarterback wide receiver stack than I am a running back wide receiver stack because they might have that high ceiling, but at the same time, if that quarterback is ass one game, they're both going to take that hit.
Mm-hmm. It's great in best ball, but in redraft where every week counts, I totally hear you. I would still hold, and as the weeks play out here, maybe something changes with one of these players where you can get potentially more back for Zay Flowers or something. I like your side of that trade though better. Maybe there's somebody else you can get with Devontae Smith instead of Darnell Mooney. Can you grab an RB2 type player in that deal? That would be the route I would take there. But that's good stuff. And that's a good point to bring up too, because I don't think a lot of people think of that, but unconsciously I have that bias sometimes as well. So good stuff. Martin Cruz is next in the chat. Puka Nacua returns tonight, talking about Rams-Vikings. Cooper Kupp is back tonight as well. All of a sudden, the Rams have everyone. Are we starting Puka Nacua over Wan'Dale Robinson and Courtland Sutton in PPR? So Nacua, the Rams, up against a Brian Flores defense that finally got beaten a bit last week by Jared Goff and the Detroit Lions. Jared Goff, the most accurate passer I think I've ever seen for an extended stretch at this point, by the way. Wan'Dale Robinson and the Giants, they are taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Difficult matchup there. Courtland Sutton and the Broncos, they have the Panthers. So that is a defense that is very much exploitable. Will Courtland Sutton even be needed, though, if the Broncos are winning 20-0 at the end of the first quarter? What are your thoughts here?
I started Sutton last week in a dynasty, and he didn't even get a target. So I'm a little hesitant to start him this week. Granted, it is playing against the Panthers. Puka's coming back from injury. We don't know what his snap count is tonight in his return. I think you can't trust anyone on the Giants besides Tracy or Single. Very, 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 you have to be very cautious on Singletary even then. So I don't think you can start Wan'Dale Robinson. So I think you still have to go Puka, only because I think Sutton's in the doghouse for me, at least.
A little bias there. I honestly am going to disagree with you. It would be one of the other two for me, kind of because of what you said. We don't know what Puka Nacua's snap count is. And the Vikings defense is tough, man. Like, I don't really want to go against that, especially all the rumors swirling, all of regarding trades and the first game back. Is he going to be on some sort of pitch count? For what it's worth, the Vikings actually give up the most fantasy points per game to opposing wideouts. So do with that what you will. The weakness of that defense is the secondary. I still have my concerns on how many routes Nacua is actually going to run tonight. It would be one of the other two for me, and they're really close. I think if I had to lean, I would probably just go Courtland Sutton based on you think he should do something against the Panthers. So that would be the lean for me. The other two are close. Me personally, I think I would leave Nacua on the bench in favor of the other two. So if you have to start two there as well, I think I would still go with the other two. If you had to replace one of them, which one would you take out, Sutton or Robinson, since you said you like Nacua?
I would go Sutton over Robinson. Like I said, the Giants' offense right now is atrocious. They're going to Pittsburgh, or are they hosting Pittsburgh? Either way, they're playing Pittsburgh Monday night, so I'm steering clear of the Giants.
Okay, all right. Mani. Sorry if I got it wrong. I feel like one of those ways is right, though. Puka Nacua versus Marv. I'm assuming that is Marvin Harrison Jr., and that has to be Harrison, right?
Yeah, I don't know why this is a question.
Okay. Yeah, that's not going to be particularly close this week. Or is it
the question comes down to the Cardinals are playing the Dolphins, who are the the best team at defending against the wide receivers. So, and I think that's what his question, like, he's trying to Don't psych yourself out. It's still start Maserati Marv.
Yeah. And for what it's worth, Harrison's been incredibly disappointing based on where a lot of people took him in drafts. Obviously, was able to play last week after the concussion, but it was still a quiet game. So the last 3 weeks, Harrison has scored a whopping 10.7 PPR points. He's seen 15 targets over those games. Of course, the one was shortened because of the injury. But you're not really getting a return on investment with Marvin Harrison at this point. As far as those two this week, though, I would stick with him. Still the wide receiver one in that offense. As far as Nakua is concerned, like we said, you got Kupp coming back as well. So remains to be seen, I guess, how that Rams offense is going to break down tonight, how many routes each of them is going to run, what the target share is going to look like. Based on the fact that Kupp was practicing last week, I would imagine he's probably a safer bet tonight. But that's my hunch. Moving along here, Underdog is back in. And we got a start-sit question from him now. Kareem Hunt or Davante Adams this week? All right. Davante Adams and those New York Jets. Yeah. It's a rough watch at times. They are playing, though, the New England Patriots, so a very favorable matchup there. And then we've got Kareem Hunt and the Chiefs. Blanking on who they're taking on here. Give me
Raiders.
1 second. The Raiders, there you go. So another favorable matchup. So both these guys have a good opportunity. Who would you prefer?
This is a tough one in a good way, though. I mean, you can't go wrong. I don't think you can go wrong with either way. Raiders, despite getting their head coach that they should have signed for the first time in forever, look atrocious. Probably can't stop the run. And then on the other side, you have the Patriots, who for the first time in forever look like they could be the first pick in the draft.
The soft Patriots,
The soft Patriots?
says their head coach.
Mm,
Oh, wait,
well,
he walked that back. Never mind. Did you see the rumor he might allegedly be coaching for his job already? That was a guy who has inside access to something with the team. That's what I was hearing. That's crazy. I mean, do I think he should be an NFL coach? No. But already? They are becoming dysfunctional up there. Anyways.
Good.
Yeah.
Had their foot on our throats for years. It's time for a little payback.
Who do you like?
I'll go Kareem Hunt only for the fact he's going to keep getting carries throughout the whole game. Davante Adams might not be able to get catches the whole game because the Jets might be up by however many points, and so they're going to run the ball with Breece Hall more. So
That's fair. I want to like Adams. As far as these two, though, I would go Kareem Hunt as the safer bet. Maybe if you need boom production out of the spot in your lineup, since it's a wide receiver versus running back, it's a flex. And like McAdoo said, this is a great flex problem to have. Adams is targeted 9 times in his Jets debut last week. So Aaron Rodgers is already looking his way. Now, he didn't do much with those. Of course, the problems there in New York are the Jets' offensive line, pass protecting for Rodgers, and then potentially Rodgers himself. Maybe 40's finally catching up with him. I don't know. But I guess that would be how I would look at it. Kareem Hunt feels safe. Both guys kind of feel safe to me. I go Kareem Hunt if you just need steady. I'd go Davante Adams if you really need a boom out of your flex. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
What do you got?
speaking of New York, though, how about the Yankees, baby? Let's fucking go.
No,
I had to
sir.
bring
No,
that in
sir.
there somehow.
I ain't watching this World Series. I
Don't even give me that. It's the two best hitters. If you don't like if you love baseball, you gotta watch. You can't be a fake fan like this.
Fake fan. These Dodgers and Yankees are just buying their teams, man. Buying their teams.
Oh, fucking well.
Trade question. Pariah KO. Parayko. Hello? Trade Mahomes and Breece Hall or Kyron Williams for Jaden Daniels, Tony Pollard, and Malik Neighbors. Okay, so it would be trading Patrick Mahomes and then either Breece Hall or Kyron Williams for Daniels, Pollard, Neighbors. Got it. Redraft, Superflex, Wide receiver 1 now is Justin Jefferson. His other QBs are Anthony Richardson and Jameis Winston. He's 2-5. Can't decide which running back to trade. Okay. First off, I like what you're doing. I like this trade we're putting together here. Because Patrick Mahomes has been a fantasy disappointment. McAdoo, I'm going to add a question in here to you. Do you think DeAndre Hopkins, that trade, him going to the Chiefs, does that elevate Mahomes to the point where this gets turned around, first off? And then second off, do you have a lean on whether you would rather part with Breece Hall or Kyren Williams?
I think that Hopkins coming to the Chiefs should help. I mean, his number 1 receiver has been who? Juju Smith-Schuster through this year. Last year, who was it? Surprisingly, they won the Super Bowl. Unfortunately, again. But Hopkins should definitely come in, be wide receiver 1 for them, help him out. Because if you look, Mahomes is 6 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. That is not Mahomes like. That's not Mahomes like. But I'll keep the other comments away. But we'll stay on this. But I think that if you're gonna trade away, you gotta go with. I think you gotta keep Breece and trade away Kyren.
Okay. It would be Kyren Williams that I would prefer to trade, especially given the Rams situation. What is going on with there? Is Cooper Kupp leaving? Is Matthew Stafford leaving? Definitely some head-scratching stuff going on there. So Kyren Williams is going to have a role. He's going to be using that offense. But if that offense takes a nosedive, is he still able to produce? Do the Rams kind of cut his workload back? Looking to the future? Don't know. So in a vacuum, trading Kyren Williams. The one thing I will bring up to you making this decision, because the two are neck and neck. Like, these are top 5 fantasy running backs, players at the position. So you're going to be losing a stud either way. Still like what you're getting back. Hopefully Malik Neighbors and the Giant can get back to where he was before the injury. I guess that's the one concern I have, but I like Tony Pollard. You're upgrading at quarterback, huge in a super flex. The one thing I wanted to bring up, Kyren Williams already had the bye. The Rams already had their bye. The Jets are still going to have their bye. So if you're 2-5 now, Zach, would that change your thinking on kind of in needing to win mode to make the playoffs, knowing you're not going to have Breece Hall down the road? And then would you still do that trade if it's Mahomes and Breece Hall for those 3?
Yeah, I think either way you trade Breece or Kyren, I don't think it's a lose-lose. I think it's going to help your team out either way. Okay. So I think if you were to go that route, where knowing that you have to win out and Breece still going to have to sit out one of those weeks, that, yeah, it could help.
All right. So either way there, I guess, is good. We both like keeping Breece Hall in a vacuum, though. I think I would still go that way, especially if your running back depth behind him is solid. Like, you'll have Pollard to start there, who's already had his bye as well. So there you go. Let's keep going here. All kinds of questions. We'd love to see it. Keep them coming, guys. We're here for you. Jared Weinberg, hello. Quarterback question, Dak Prescott or Bo Nix? Bo Nix and the Broncos taking on those Carolina Panthers. Bo Nix actually sneaky decent in fantasy all of a sudden. He's figuring it out. In Sean Payton we trust, right? And then Dak Prescott and the Cowboys, much more difficult matchup against the 49ers team that has absolutely owned them in big games in recent years. You dare start the rookie here?
Yeah, I mean, you got to go with the overthrows of Bo Nix against the Panthers. I don't trust Rain Dakota Prescott against the Niners, so give me Mo picks.
Okay. I think I'm gonna join you. I think this is a big game for Bo Nix this week. So, don't necessarily love either one of them. As far as, we're talking quarterback ones ranked in the top 12 this week. But if I had to start one, I think I would agree with you and go Bo Nix.
Give me that boner. Let's go.
You are off
I
the
need to
rails
stop
tonight,
with the
my guy.
both puns.
No, dog, you can keep firing off questions all night. Go for it. Ryan Santoro, next in the chat. PPR redraft league. He is strong at running back, weak at wide receiver. Would you send Tank Bigsby for Jalen Waddle? In agreement. Tua's back for now. Knock on wood. It isn't short-lived. And, yeah. Like we kind of talked about last week on the stream, too, when I had Tank Bigsby in the article, which he kind of proved me wrong as far as being a sit last week. But
It happens.
still not fully convinced that he has a stranglehold on that backfield there. You know, ETN's still there. So,
ETN, yeah,
yes.
ETN was out. Johnson definitely wasn't a full load like it was for Bigsby, but Johnson definitely ate a little bit of that. So,
Right, yeah. So, yes. If you need wide receiver help, like that trade a lot for you. Good stuff. Null Dog. Going at it. All right. Now he has Juwan Jennings and Deebo Samuel. Is he crazy to think that Juwan Jennings could outperform Deebo rest of season? And he says due to Samuel's issues with staying on the field, who should he try to move out of the two in a trade? And who should he try to acquire, either 1-for-1s or a 2-for-1? This keeps going.
Terry and Deebo for a better wide receiver.
Yes, there it is. Okay. I think you're a little crazy to think Jennings outperforms Samuel the rest of the season. And that's kind of me assuming good health for Samuel in a way, but also Jennings missed last week as well. So I think that's a little far-fetched. McAdoo, I'd be curious to get your take on that. And then who should he try to move out of the two? I mean, as far as market value at this juncture, you're definitely going to get more for Deebo because people are going to want to see it from Jennings with Ayuk out. Now, Jennings has a chance where his value takes off here in the coming weeks if he plays well, and then you might be in a sell-high position, or maybe you aren't trying to sell high at that point because he clearly takes on the Ayuk role in the offense. What are your thoughts here?
I don't think you should trade either one. As stupid as it is, I have Jennings and Deebo on one of my teams. So why not just use one to handcuff? Jennings is definitely going to be. I wouldn't say it's. Well, it is going to be handcuffed, just like if you have Ramondre and Antonio Gibbs or whatever, Antonio Gibson, excuse me, both of them like that. So I don't think it. Why not take that route in it?
I could see it for right now. I guess what I would do is I would wait for Jennings to have a big week, and then I would sell high. That would be what I would do. Rest of season, like I said, if we're assuming good health for both guys, you want Samuel. So if you can get Jennings to have 1 or 2 solid weeks and then flip him for an RB2 type, that would be a good sell high move, in my opinion. If you, because he's asking who he should try to acquire, I mean, tough to know who's out there willing to trade and what players would be available. If you're going to trade away McLaurin and Deebo Samuel, you better be getting something really good. That's what I will put out there. So,
Saquon or better.
Yeah. I might even need more than Saquon. I think I would. So in summary, a little bit crazy to think Jennings outperforms Deebo, but I see what you're doing. I see your line of thinking with Samuel being unable to stay healthy. Assuming good health, though, a bit crazy. And then I would sell high on Jennings after he goes off one of these weeks. See what you can't get back. Nice, solid running back. Or if you throw in Terry McLaurin, maybe you can get something like a Saquon and a decent receiver back, something like that. So cool. Mark Folkman, hello. What do we got here? Would you continue to hold J-Mo during the suspension, or would you try to trade him or drop him? It's a redraft league. It is half PPR. Jameson Williams suspended for the next 2 games. McAdoo. Hopefully Sam Laporta gets a bump with that. Fingers crossed. What do you think about this? Would you hold him? My question also would be redraft league, half PPR. How deep is the league? That would be one thing I'd want to know.
It's only 2 games. I don't know why you drop him. Unless you absolutely need something else on your team.
Yeah. Do you have an IR spot? I know some platforms are different with as far as suspended players can go in the IR spot or not. Most of your main ones, I think, like Yahoo, ESPN, you can get away with that. Sleeper, I don't believe you can. As long as you have somebody to fill in, and unless there's like something great out on the waiver wire, or you're desperate now that he is out, and you don't have the bench spot to keep him, I would try and hang on to him.
He's
I
got a
don't think you
12-man
want
league.
to drop him and lose him. 12-man league, okay. So yeah, in a 12-man league, I'm definitely holding him.
Yeah, seems like the right way.
All right.
But now we have one from Boss Man. Pull it up.
Can't place him on IR. I that's a pain, but I would still try to hold him. Maybe you go to the waiver wire to. I don't know what exactly your bench depth is. Jameson Williams, I don't think is going to be the first guy I'm dropping to go find someone, even if I need to plug that spot. Like I might look at somebody else on depth, especially in a 12-team league, kind of knowing where that size shakes out. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, because like 12-man league, your best bet is probably going to be worse than Jameson Williams. I was going to try to go for an example, but I can't think of one off the top of my head.
Yeah, I got you. So yeah, try and hold him. Don't panic drop. That would be that would be a gut punch if somebody else just goes and scoops him for free. Kind of tough to trade him too because he is out the next couple weeks. But maybe depending on what your record is, if you're in win now mode, you find someone who's sitting pretty. Maybe you can still trade him, get decent value back. Don't know. I would maybe potentially poke around with that too.
So I got one for myself. I'll start the question for myself now because of all the injuries that happened and all the other injuries that are coming.
Following up the Jennings Debo question, 49ers will go out and get somebody. Go ahead.
They have to pay Pierce all. That's all is good. So, who do I start? Do I start Baker or Matthew Stafford?
Baker or Matthew Stafford?
Yeah. I'm leaning towards Stafford because I don't like the injuries to Tampa Bay right now. And with Stafford, he's getting 2 of his receivers back against a Vikings team that allows a lot of points to the receivers. So I'm going to guess the passing.
You really want to use Stafford against Brian Flores, though? Vikings allow a lot of points to receivers. Let me check and see what they do against quarterbacks officially. Middle of the pack, 15.1 per game. Baker Mayfield has been incredible, man.
Yeah, but
I think he's fine. He has rapport with Shepard from college.
You think he's fine despite losing his top 2 receivers?
I think Baker Mayfield's fantasy production continues. I think he's okay. I think McMillan can play.
The stock doesn't drop?
His stock drops, yeah. I think he's still fringe quarterback 1 on a given week, though. Yeah. And the Bucs have the
Falcons.
The Falcons this week. The Falcons defense isn't good. No, I did include the Falcons in the defense streamers article, especially if you're in a deeper league. There's not a ton of great options this week. You'd like to think that they can do okay, but Falcons just don't have good defensive players. They have no pass rush. He's going to have all day in the pocket to throw, so even if guys can't get open, he can take off.
What about Kyler or Baker now?
I'd go Kyler Murray. What is this, your show where you get to ask the questions now?
Yes.
Answer some of my questions. They're not fantasy football related. Hey, real quick. You guys have seen Zach Bruner popping up in the chat that 49ers will get another X receiver comment. This is top-ranked fantasy football analyst over at Fantasy Pros in the Consensus. Zach Bruner, by the way. Fearless leader of Flurry Sports. Let me make sure I get this right here. The hot announcement is on Saturday, before Week 8, Saturday afternoon. It's probably going to be around noon Central Time. He's going to be doing an AMA in the Reddit fantasy football community. The thread, I'm not a Reddit expert if I'm being honest. So the Reddit fantasy football community, Zach Bruner, AMA, noon Central Time, roughly this Saturday. So you can ask him trade questions. You can ask him anything. It's an ask me anything. So ask him, I don't know, what he had for dinner at Culver's last night, because Culver's is awesome. I kind of have a Culver's addiction myself at this point, honestly.
Never had it.
You are missing out, man. I know we have some nice options in upstate New York, where you and I are both from, and in the Northeast in general. Like, you know, Friendly's is kind of an Eastern thing. That was always good, but Culver's is the real deal. There's some stuff that's the real deal. A&W, we don't have that. A&W is the real deal.
It's good. I've been there in Pennsylvania before. But we got some more questions. We got to roll.
Yes. Let me pop this up here. That's where you want to go. Saturday, noon Central Time. That's where Zach Bruner will be. Ask him anything. Ask him fantasy stuff. Ask him fast food stuff. Ask him
what his favorite beer is.
Ask him baseball stuff. I know he loves the baseball questions.
Yeah, he loves he loves kickers as well, that too. And he also loves the Yankees.
Yes, sir. All right. Blake4491, moving along here. Another question. Puka Nacua, Tyler Lockett, or Juwan Jennings? It is full PPR this week. Nakua's tonight. Jennings against the Cowboys. And then Tyler Lockett and Seattle. They are taking on your Zach McAdoo Buffalo Bills.
We already talked about Puka and his probably snap count. So it's for me, it's between Lockett and Jennings. Lockett might be wide receiver 1 on Sunday. Or no. He's gonna be wide receiver 2. He's behind JSN. And then Juwan Jennings.
He'd be number 2 in my opinion.
Yeah. And then Juwan Jennings against the Cowboys. I think I got to lean Jennings because of how atrocious that Cowboys defense is right now.
I would be with you on this as well. The Bills defense, pretty solid against opposing wideouts this season. They are top 10 in PPR points allowed. Against the Cowboys, meanwhile, that defense scares me on a week-to-week basis. I've heard some people say Mike Zimmer's just there kind of collecting a paycheck this year, and it makes you wonder. I think the Niners obviously need to win this game. I think without Brandon Ayuk, it's a statement point. Juwan Jennings has thrived when needed in this offense. So him and Lockett are close. I would say Puka's kind of a distant third here just because of the snap count, yada, yada. I would go Jennings, though. I would lean with you. Eduardo Andre Linares. Should he trade Jamison Williams for Rico Dowdle? Interesting. Obviously, Jamison Williams dealing with the suspension. Rico Dowdle kind of has taken over the top. Not kind of. He is the top running back for the Dallas Cowboys at this point. What would be your lean here? I think to follow this up, how does your running back room, how does your wide receiver core look as currently constructed? Do you need Dowdle? Do you need to win now? Because I don't like his matchup this week. I will say that. If you're just going for points this week,
in a vacuum, I'm saying no.
Okay.
But like you said, it all depends on what the rest of his wide receiver looks like, what his running back look like. It's just it's very questionable at this point.
Yeah, straight up. Hang on to Jameson Williams there. For you guys who have trade questions, since we're brought up Zach Brunner, put a spotlight on him a moment ago. I will also add he's doing weekly rest of season rankings over on FLURRYSports.org, so you can find those along with all the other fantasy football content that's over on the website. Those are a great resource when it comes to trade questions as well. So be sure to check those out. Hold Jameson Williams. I'd be holding Jameson Williams. If you're in a position where you can afford to go 2 weeks without him, hold him. That's my final answer. Timeless. Hello. Marvin Harrison or DeAndre Hopkins, half PPR. So this kind of goes back to, we've talked about Marvin Harrison being a major disappointment for those who have him so far this season. McAdoo, you brought up the point. The Cardinals are playing the Dolphins, who allow the fewest fantasy points per game as far as PPR is concerned, to opposing wideouts. Don't have half PPR defensive stats in front of me at the moment. Assuming it's not great, though, since they're so bad in PPR. And then DeAndre Hopkins and the Chiefs going up against the Raiders. His Chiefs debut. Would you take him over Marvin Harrison in his Kansas City debut?
I always try to stay away from recently acquired receivers because I think it takes time for them to play. But I was wrong last week. Amari Cooper caught a touchdown immediately. Devontae Adams had 9 targets with the Jets. So I think it's now safe for DeAndre Hopkins to go in there in your lineup, and especially after he said this is the first time he's been on a competitive team in a couple of years. So he's looking antsy.
I'm going to agree with you on staying away in this question. Like, I would rather have Marvin Harrison of these two this week, but I also completely hear what you're saying. Like, the fact that Adams and Cooper walked right in, had immediate success. Worth noting, well, Adams didn't really get it done in the box score, but the 9 targets is encouraging from a fantasy standpoint. I would be starting Marvin Harrison of these two this week, especially in a half PPR. I almost like him better for that as opposed to Hopkins. Give the Chiefs a week, kind of see how that shakes out, week or two. Where would you put Hopkins this week? Would you have him wide receiver 3, kind of in that top 36, or is he a little below that for you?
I lean. Well, Cooper was 28 last week, and I shouldn't go off of last week's rankings, but I think he's got to be above 28.
Okay. So you're bullish on him then, right out of the gates. Cool. Marvin Harrison, though, probably floating into that top 20 for most people. So, yeah. Start Harrison this week, and we'll kind of see how that Chiefs situation evolves. The other thing, too, they're playing the Raiders, so could be a case where, they have no reason to throw the ball for the last 2.5 quarters of that game, potentially. Big Blue forever. You're welcome, Timeless. Much love right back. Have a good night. Big Blue forever. Should I trade Garrett Wilson and David Njoku for Amon-Ra St. Brown and Tucker Kraft? A little tight end love here in the trade discussion. All right. Here's what I'm going to say right off the jump. David Njoku's value goes up with Jameis Winston playing quarterback for the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, I noticed that. A lot of love in the rankings this week for Njoku.
A lot of love in the rankings?
Yeah, I think he was ranked number 2 from where I saw.
Okay. Yeah, you do the tight end start sit article, which we haven't even gotten to the articles yet because we got all these questions. So it's good.
So we probably have the time to get to the articles, but you know where to find them, FLURRYSports.org. Fantasy,
amen, brother.
What are the fantasy football the articles. My 2 articles, wide receiver tight ends up there. His article of running backs is up there. So go give us a read. Let us know what we got right and wrong, because we sure as hell get a lot wrong.
All kinds of other articles up there too. For me, thinking about this trade, I think I like the Garrett Wilson, David Njoku side better. It's very close. Obviously, Amon-Ra is the wide receiver 1 in Detroit. Garrett Wilson, 1A, if not 2 now with the Jets, perhaps. The Aaron Rodgers thing. Are the Jets going to get better? Or is this just the end of the road in that sense? Don't know yet. I still have hope. I think they're going to be okay. I like David Njoku better than Tucker Kraft, though, with Jameis now in there. So I think I would hold. Do you have a strong opinion one way or the other? As much as oh, man.
When you first put it on there, I was thinking, okay, I would actually take this trade. But now, the more I think about it,
well, now I'm starting to think,
Wilson,
the more I think about it, I kind of want to take it.
Wilson at the 2 spot for the Jets isn't that bad because Devontae Adams is going to take away a lot of the defenders for him, and Wilson's probably going to be open a lot more. Granted, it didn't happen last week against Steelers, but like we said earlier, it was Adams' first week in New York, so give it time.
That's a good defense. That's why
We
I
talked
say,
about
is he the 2 or the 1A?
He's 2. There's no Adams is going to get the ball forced his way a lot with Rodgers. I'll die on that hill. But then we talked about Njoku last week. Put a lot of points up after Watson went down, which I don't care. I'll say that shit. Fuck Watson. He's a piece of shit. Bruner, I'm sorry for all this, but find me later. I don't care. But like I said, Njoku did a lot better after Watson went out of the game. Honestly, Amon-Ra you'll go up from Wilson to Amon-Ra, but you'll lose a lot more going from Njoku to Kraft, and I do like Tucker Kraft a lot.
So you would keep? You would hold?
I would hold.
Okay. Since that was my initial inkling, I'm going to agree. But depending on your outlook, like what you have at receiver, if acquiring a bona fide wide receiver 1 in his offense, especially if you're in win now mode, Jameson Williams out, Amon-Ra do even better perhaps here these next couple of weeks. Depending on your situation, where you're at in the standings, what your roster looks like, I'm not going to sit here and say don't do that trade. But I think I would prefer Wilson and Njoku. I think we both agree that we would stick with that side for the time being. Don't hate it either way, though. If you want to trade just to trade, go for it. Timeless back in. He has Jaden Daniels at quarterback, but he's unlikely to play this week. Hello, Marcus Mariota. Should he stream CJ Stroud or Kirk Cousins? Kirk Cousins and the Falcons. They are taking on
The Bucks.
the Buccaneers.
And it's
and
a
then
Colts.
CJ Stroud and the Texans have the Colts. Very close. Both are good streaming options. I am kind of amazed that they're both available in your league, although the Texans' offensive line has led to C.J. Stroud having some struggles here these last couple weeks. For me, I would go Kirk Cousins for that very reason. I think it's a divisional game. The Falcons were awful last week.
They're both divisional games. You can't really go that route.
True. Colts defense is bad as well.
Well, I was going to say Colts defense bad except last week, but they did play a backup quarterback. But I'll take Mr. Swagsurf.
Give me Cousins. Because if the Falcons defense does what I think the Falcons defense is capable of doing, which is not a whole lot, even though I think they are a streamable option, if you have nothing else this week at the position, the Falcons are going to have to score, and that could be a shootout, track meet. So give me Cousins. The Texans' offensive line has me a little bit worried here these last few weeks. Did you pick?
Yeah, it's a Mr. Swagsurf.
Okay, all right.
You didn't see that motion? Come on.
Man, I got a million things on my mind right now. Randy3336. Hello. I think this is our first Twitch interaction of the night. We'd love to see it. We're covering all our bases.
Twitch and TV says 1916.
Eagles defense or 49ers defense And the worst pizza we have ever had. Oh, boy. Eagles defense or the 49ers defense. Let's start there, McAdoo. Which
Give me the
one
Niners.
would you plug in and play?
Niners. I think the Bengals are starting to find their stride, and that's who the Eagles play. So,
Okay.
give me the Niners.
Yeah, I don't trust Dallas at all, so it would be the Niners for me as well in a must-win game for all intents and purposes, as must-win as Week 8 can possibly get, I feel like, in the NFL. And the worst pizza you have ever had, sir?
It happened at one of the dining halls at UB, actually, because I didn't know what was on it. They had put onions and shit on it, and I was like, oh, God, it almost made me sick, so.
And what was the, it was just dining hall pizza?
It was white pizza is what they called it.
Don't sound
It's
good.
not the same white pizza that I've had before.
Worst pizza I've ever had was let's see here, it was junior year of high school, and it was a class trip down to Washington, D.C. And so they had like our, itinerary all planned out for the day and whatever, because we're walking around seeing all these monuments and blah, blah, blah. And a pizza shop, so it was a local shop. And forgive me, I don't remember the name. If you wanted, as far as a brand name goes, worst pizza, I can't give you that. But yeah, we walked into this local place and they served us pizza en masse. And to be honest, I kind of went to bed hungry that night because the pizza tasted like soap. Don't remember what was on it. I think it was just pepperoni and stuff, but the crust tasted like soap to me. And that was one of the reasons why I am not a fan of Washington, D.C., because of that pizza experience right there, actually. It's one of the few things I remember from that trip, and it was not pleasant. So I have disliked D.C. ever since. Sorry if anyone watching is from the area. I still drive there in the truck, and I get through it. Anyways, it's the worst pizza I've ever had. Last call for questions. It is a couple minutes past the top of the hour. Thursday Night Football nearly upon us. Anything else you guys need for Week 8 or beyond, drop it in the chat, and we will try to knock them out quickly and then hop off before the game. Let's see here. McAdoo, which of your two Stardom Situm articles over on FLURRYSports.org was your favorite this week?
I have the wide receivers up already, so you just want to do that one?
We can do that one, sure. You have got, in the wide receiver article, talk to me about one of these two. Jalen Waddle as a start for the Dolphins against the Cardinals. George Pickens as a start for the Steelers against the Giants.
I mean, we saw what happened last week with George Pickens, right? He absolutely took over the game against the Jets. And that's a tough Jets defense.
We saw Russell Wilson go, whee!
Yeah. Russell Wilson's had them high knees going, baby. Russell Wilson and the Steelers, let's weld, let's melt. What the hell is he saying now? He can't say let's ride unless you're...
Renegade Russ.
Yeah, there we go. The Russ melt. The Russ... Oh. Bruner, if we work on those shirts, I want a fucking piece of that.
Has anyone come up with that yet?
That is my shirt. Fuck you guys.
I like it.
How did we not? Someone had to have come up with that.
I feel like you didn't just pull that out your ass. You heard that.
I did. I'm not.
You're not that clever.
Fuck you, I am.
So, Pickens, you like him because of Russell Wilson?
Damn it, the Steelers already did it. Fuck. All right. But, yeah. I mean, Pickens decimated the Jets defense last week, and that's a good defense with Sauce Gardner and is it not DJ Reed? Is it? I forget who it was. Someone. But like I said, to 23 points or something like that. So Pickens, he's an easy start for me this week against Deontay Banks.
Okay, I like it. And then as far as your sits go in the article, you're sitting Deontay Johnson with the Panthers against the Denver Broncos, and you are sitting DK Metcalf with the Seahawks against the Buffalo Bills. Is Metcalf active this week?
He's questionable, leaning. Like I said in the article, he's got to have something Friday in order for him to even have a chance to play.
While you talk to me about Johnson.
They're going back to Bryce Young. Andy Dalton's not starting this week. due to a thumb injury from a car accident, which, get well soon, Andy. I love the Red Rifle, went to TCU, go Horned Frogs. But Deontay Johnson's going to have to do it. Bryce Young, I don't trust Bryce Young yet, despite him being on my Dynasty team. It's just not a good start. And then you throw him against Patrick Surtain, who is the best corner in the game right now. No ifs, ands, or buts. The fact that I will take PS2 over Stingley.
Fair enough.
PS2 hands down probably should be the best best cornerback in the league this year. Maybe Depoy. We'll talk about that later, but I think he should have some votes for that.
Yeah. The update on Metcalf, for those who have him and are just wondering, haven't seen, he didn't practice again today, so that's 2 missed practices. Knee injury that he's dealing with, obviously. Still could suit up this weekend, but to McAdoo's point, reason being why he has him in the article is he's battling that knee injury, and it's not exactly an easy matchup either. So that's the update on him. And then as far as Deontay Johnson is concerned, what week was it? It was the Raiders week. So week 3, Bryce Young played games 1 and 2. Deontay Johnson saw 6 targets in both games, only caught 5 passes, 19 and 15 yards receiving respectively, going up against Pat Surtain, at least on a good portion of his routes, you would think. So yeah, hard to disagree with you there. Final call. Anybody else? Any questions? Anything for week 8? Start 'em, sit 'em. Fire away now. We'll be hopping off here in a couple minutes. Zach, I'm going to hit you with a couple running backs. From my article, the starts, the 2 I had, Tony Pollard for the Titans against the Lions, and then Brian Robinson Jr. for the Commanders against the Browns. Robinson, I talked about the fact that it seems like he's dropped in the rankings because he had the injury and then lower snap counts, but this guy has scored double-digit fantasy points every time he's been on the field this year, despite the lower snap counts. Last week played, I think it was 39% of the snaps. Let's be real here. Didn't need to play him more than that. Coming off the injury, they're playing Carolina. Like, that's a scrimmage for that offense. So I am not freaking out on Brian Robinson and dropping him outside of the top 24 or RB2 territory. And then as far as Pollard goes, Tyjae Spears is still questionable. I believe he did get a limited practice in on Wednesday. I haven't seen the full report for today. I still like Pollard to have a big role in this game. So even though Detroit's run defense is tough, I like him in the matchup. You want to rebuttal either of those?
No, I'm a big bullet hole B-Rob fan, so I'm always going to try to put him in the lineup. Pollard, you can probably talk me into it, especially this week with Tyjae Spears out, but I think they're both good.
I don't think the Titans have much of a passing attack either, so
I
like Pollard as a role. Just catching a few passes out of the backfield, that kind of can inflate his PPR value as well. And then the sits, I had David Montgomery in that same Lions-Titans game. He's battling a knee injury of his own. He's probably going to go, but how much is he really going to play? Kind of feels like a touchdown-dependent thing for me, and the Titans' defense is sneaky good, was my reasoning there. Ramondre Stevenson with the Patriots against the Jets. It's the fucking Patriots. Do we need to say more? Jets' run defense, by the way, that is not good. They are not good. They give up yards. Ramondre Stevenson had like 6 carries. He fumbled. He had negative fantasy points if you lose points for fumbles in your league in week 3 when they met. But he still averaged nearly 4 yards a carry on those 6 carries. Jets' run defense is not good. But Jets need to win this game. And Stevenson's snap counts are all over the place. They're playing Gibson and Hasty some as checkdowns for Drake May. Patriots are lost and confused. I don't want any part.
Yeah, and it's because I have both Ramondre Stevenson and Antonio Gibson in one of our leagues, so great. But you think you want to trust Ramondre Stevenson or anyone in the Patriots backfield because they want to run the ball more to get Drake May some confidence, but no, the Patriots are just like, here, fuck you. just go out there and do something.
Yes, sir. If you want to figure out who McAdoo talked about in the tight end startup sit article, FLURRYSports.org, the place to go. And with it, you can in-depth read about the players that we discussed in our running back and wide receiver articles as well. You got Bruner's Fantasy Football Week 8 rankings. He published updated rest of season rankings heading into Week 8. So those can help you out in trade discussions for sure. Just kind of gauging where you're at potentially with your roster as well, what moves you might need to make. Streamers articles for every position are up for Week 8. So if you need to play some matchups or just need a boost, fill in at flex, whatever, those are available to you. If the waiver wire column from a few days ago still helps you out any, maybe go check and see if any of those guys are still out there as well, depending on the size of your league and what you need. All of it is good stuff. All of it can help you out. FLURRYSports.org. Thank you for being with us tonight. Wherever you were watching, make sure you like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, throw a follow on X, and wherever you may be watching. Fantasy Football by Committee, too. Join the Facebook group. Trying to grow that, trying to have people in there. Can ask the staff anything, and then also bounce ideas off each other. So trying to grow that as well. Fantasy Football by Committee on Facebook. Join the group. All the content from the site gets posted in there as well. So that's
Don't forget about Zach's AMA.
Yes.
The Reddit AMA, Saturday at 1 o'clock Eastern, 12 noon, 11 a.m. Mountain Time, 10 a.m. Pacific Time.
Yes. The best of the best as far as the Fantasy Pros expert consensus rankings are concerned. Zach Bruner, AMA on Reddit in the Reddit Fantasy Football. Let me pull that up again here. How far back do I have to go? There we go. Right there. Saturday, noonish Central. That's 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific.
Let him know you came from us. That way, maybe he gives us a handshake or something.
Absolutely. So that's on Reddit on Saturday. Zach Bruner, AMA. Definitely check that out. Zach, Thursday Night Football, minutes away from kicking off. Vikings at Rams. Minnesota laying 2.5 points on the road. You got a pick against the spread.
Yeah. I got a parlay for you.
Oh,
how about this
parlay?
one?
Okay.
Let me see here. I took the Vikings minus 2.5. Justin Jefferson, anytime touchdown, and what are the other two? And Darnold and Stafford over 1.5 passing touchdowns.
Somebody's expecting points tonight. You like Vikings to lay the points even with the Rams getting guys back?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't trust the Rams.
I'm a full-blown stay away from this game and contest tonight.
Oh, but you'll ask me every week now what the... Okay, just end it.
I'll ask you what?
It's about the spread and everything every week, but oh no, we won't touch this one, huh? Okay.
Not me. But you're going to give a pick. People pay to see you, man. That's why everybody's here.
Then why do I get paid?
I'm just on the side of I-76 down here in PA.
I wouldn't give you that much. Just giving away your position.
I-76 is a long road, man. PA Turnpike goes all the way across. They'll never find me. Hey, everyone, glad you found us here, though. Thank you for joining. Thank you for watching. Hopefully we helped you all out tonight. Enjoy the game. Enjoy Week 8. And check out FLURRYSports.org. We will talk to you next week.